Hello, welcome to Sephera's World. Today I'm going to talk about three things. I'm going to talk about Mark Hamill, the Solo movie, and rumors about Episode 9 of the Star Wars Legacy, which could be the Skywalker Legacy, but we don't even know anymore. So, first of all, wasn't that great that Mark Hamill was on The Big Bang Theory Thursday night? I thought that was so fantastic. I've been waiting years for him to come on The Big Bang Theory because, Sheldon hung out with Darth Vader, James Earl Jones in that one episode, and then they pranked Carrie Fisher. So, Darth Vader and Princess Leia have been on Big Bang Theory, and that was a long time ago, So it was about time they got Mark Hamill on the show. So I was really happy to see him on there. Although, I thought it was, I don't know. I liked the part where, if you haven't seen it, spoilers. I liked the part where, they connect because they find the dog. But to have him officiate the wedding was kind of weird, I guess. I don't know. I didn't like how he was crying through it because it reminded me of the Wizard of Oz where the dude's peeking through the door at Dorothy and the Scarecrow and the Lion and Tin Man and the dog and he's crying because they're like, no, we'll never see the wizard, and I won't get a brain, and I won't get a heart, and I'll never get courage, and I'll never get home, and he's like, come on in, the wizard will see you now. So it kind of reminded me of that for some very bizarre reason, I guess because I'm old and have, I don't know, everything to me in my life always comes back to Star Wars or the Wizard of Oz. So when they're cross-pollinating in my brain, my brain just blows up. Yep. But anyways, that's kind of what was happening to me watching that. But, Mark Hamill did a great job. I was so excited to see him on the show and all that. He did fantastic, and I hope he's on more shows more often. And he should be. I know back in the 70s he'd make guest appearances here and there, and I'd always be so excited. And back then we couldn't tape videos off the TV or anything, and so you either saw it or you didn't. But now things emerge. Once Star Wars came back to life a couple years ago, there's things on YouTube now, some of these old shows and stuff, and anyways, yeah. And I was really bummed when Mark Hamill was supposed to be starring in 8 is Enough, and then he had the car accident and couldn't do it, and so Grant Goodeve starred in the role Mark Hamill was in the pilot for, and that was one of my favorite shows because I was the perfect age for it, as a teenager. So I watched that show all the time and hoped that maybe he'd make a cameo or something on it, but I'd always imagined Grant Goodeve was Mark Hamill in my brain. For the entire run of that show, it was always Mark Hamill who was the oldest brother. That's my own little nerddom self. Yeah, and then today's Saturday, the day before Mother's Day. So a couple days ago, the whole Solo movie had its premiere, red carpet premiere, and of course it was on at the same time as The Big Bang Theory with Mark Hamill, which Mark Hamill made some funny tweets about his obligations that day, but so people are, I don't know, I'm not up enough, even though I love movies and I pay attention to movies and I go to movies and all that. I have no idea if they've ever had a premiere this far ahead of a movie. I guess they do sometimes, because it seems to me I remember when The Last Jedi, I was watching the premiere on YouTube and I was like, oh, I hope they don't spoil things, and I wouldn't look at I didn't look at trailers or anything because I was so afraid of spoilers and all that. So, but then the movie came out right away pretty much, but here it was Solo. Now we got to wait a couple more weeks, and there was a spoiler online. Apparently Mark Hamill made a spoiler, and I still have managed to avoid it. Somehow I've managed to avoid it, even though I watch tons of YouTube videos all the time. I watch Geeks and Gamers, and I watch that Ivan the Artist redoing all the scenes, and Star Wars Girl, and all these other people. I watch all these videos, not every minute of the day, but I watch a lot of them. And But if I ever think they're about to say something about that spoiler, I duck away real fast. And so far, I've managed to avoid it, but it's not going to be for long. At any rate, it seems like a lot of the early reviews that like I said, 'cause I'm not doing a deep dive because I don't want to be spoiled, because I do want to enjoy the movie for what it is and have my own opinions. However, it looks like the reviews are pretty good. And, you know, it is a Ron Howard movie at the end of the day, despite all the drama and trauma and bullshit that went into all the stuff in behind. Oh, my phone. Got to turn the sound off on my phone. Everything happening, I don't know whether to trust reviews, and boycotting the movie isn't going to do any good. It's not going to bring The Last Jedi back. It's not going to change anything that's happened before. It's not. I'm old. I know this. We can all dream that there's a time machine, you know, the DeLorean's going to show up, we'll all go back in time, and then we can not have Luke die and things. To me, that's my only issue. That's my big issue. Anyway, so back to Solo. So the reviews are looking pretty good. It seems like the general consensus, from what I can understand, is that the first half hour is kind of rough, and I guess, you know, they're trying to get into the story, and I guess we have to get into, you know, accepting the new actor as Harrison Ford and that sort of thing, and that's fine. And for me, it won't be a problem, because it makes sense a young actor would play Han Solo, and Han Solo certainly won't be the Han Solo we get to know anyways in later episodes, because he has a lot of character growth and development in A New Hope. So, you know, he should just be kind of a snotty teenager or whatever, however old they decide to start his backstory as. And so yeah, it seems like he's doing a good job, and it seems like Danny Glover, you know, everyone's like gone crazy loving him, which is great because he's really cool. He's a cool guy. I liked him on Community. I've liked him other things. I like his music. So yeah, we'll see. I'm not part of the boycotting train. I see no reason to boycott a movie that has nothing to do with the other movies. Now, if Solo was being directed by Rian Johnson, yeah, I would boycott it. If Solo was supposed to be another part of the Skywalker saga, I would boycott it. But it's not. It's like Rogue One. It's a little one-off, a little backstory, a little piece of the universe, with a totally different director and writers and all that. And so why not? Why not go see it and have some fun? I want it to be fun. I hope it's fun. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of, you know, flying through space and the Falcon, and, you know, I guess there's no guns, you know, like blasters. And so it'll be a lot of shooting, I guess, which, you know, I have double-edged sword ideas about, because I don't like guns. I don't like seeing people be shot and stuff yet. This is part of the universe in that galaxy far, far away. And so that's how it is. Blasters, you can call them blasters, but they're still guns, really, aren't they? Aren't they? And I would imagine we won't see laser swords or lightsabers, because why would we? Han Solo's not a Jedi, and unless the secret spoiler is that he encounters Darth Vader, who has a lightsaber, or Obi-Wan, or someone of the Jedi persuasion who has lightsabers, I can't see why there would be any lightsabers in the Han Solo movie, which is too bad, 'cause I love lightsabers, obviously. And yeah, so we'll see. So far the news seems to be good about Solo. It's not a huge piece of steaming crap. But then again, we're getting reviews from the same people, I think, that also thought The Last Jedi was the most brilliant piece of work ever done. So we'll see. We'll see. You know, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and I say, hey, go see the movie and see what you think. I plan to see the Solo movie. I plan to see it in 3D. and get the full experience and all that. And I hope it's a good one. I hope I'm not disappointed. But then again, I'm not invested in it. I'm not invested in the Solo movie at all. I'm only invested in it because I want to see some spaceships and see some stuff blow up. Like, seriously. And I know I'm a girl, I'm not supposed to like that, but I've always liked that. That's why I'm a horror writer. Not horror. I'm a horror writer. You know, and I saw a Star Wars girl going on a thing this morning on her channel about how it's hard to be a girl Star Wars fan. It's like, hey honey, try being a girl Star Wars fan in 1977. Like, seriously, you know. And I think I think it was the 80s or 90s, probably the 90s. The 501 Legion was showing up at conventions and stuff, and actually asked one of the stormtroopers if I could join, and they said no girls were allowed. So there you go. So even though I always wanted to be part of the 501, I was never allowed. And well, I wasn't allowed then. And now, you know, because I am a horror writer, and I'm the Ontario chapter head of the Horror Writers Association, so I make sure we have booths at Comic-Con, a Fan Expo, and places like that for our for the Horror Writers Association. And so I'm at a lot of everything I'm at, the 501 is at, and you know, they're doing pictures for charity, and you know, if you go on my website, you'll see me with Jabba the Hutt and stuff. And now there's tons of girls. I mean, last year, almost at this time, really, I was at Niagara Falls Comic-Con, and the horror writers, not the Horror Writers Association, but other horror writers who were at Comic-Con, were in a motel room, and then the next room right next door was the 501 party. So it was kind of funny to see the horror writers and the Star Wars people, and then because most horror writers sneer at Star Wars people, and so a few of us were kind of incognito with our Star Wars. Well, now it's cooler than it was, but even last summer it was funny because it's like, oh, walked into the wrong party. You get a Star Wars person walking into the horror party, or the horror people walking into the Star Wars party. There were a lot of women at that 501 party, a lot of women in those uniforms and stuff. So they changed along the way and accepted girls at some point. But now I'm just too bitter to become part of it because they didn't want me back when I was young and could have done a lot of stuff and gotten my sons into it all and really had a good family thing with the 501, but it's too late now. My kids are grown, don't care anymore. Anyways, that's my that's what we're here for, to rant, right? So you're listening to me rant. And so then the third thing I want to talk about, still Star Wars, I guess, because I haven't heard anything more about Cockygate or any other things that I feel like talking about today, besides Jurassic World. Oh, I'm so excited for Jurassic World. I cannot wait. The new Jurassic World. I know Jurassic World, that came out last year, the year before, whenever it was, you know, there's a lot of really good, you know, like all these blockbusters. That's why, you know, I sometimes raise my eyebrows at how hard people are hating on The Last Jedi, because all these blockbusters have things that are really, really cool and things that really, really suck. And Jurassic World had all that too, you know. I hated the lady who runs the show there. I don't remember the actor's name. I don't know if it's the actress I hated or just the part. Probably just the part. They tried too hard, or maybe I didn't believe that actress in that part, because it was supposed to be like a big hardcore business girl, businesswoman, I guess, and she's supposed to be dealing with her kids and her sister's kids. Her sister sends her children to Jurassic World for a tour to go see their aunt, and you know, why not? She's running the friggin' largest dinosaur park, the only dinosaur park in the world, right? And so yeah, why not have, you know, sister take the kids for the week and see some dinosaurs and stuff? Why not? But I didn't believe the character of the businesswoman. She wasn't believable to me in that role. So therefore, I never believed anything at all with that role. She seemed like too bubble-headed or whatever to be in that position of such authority. I don't know. That's just my personal hate on. And I'm sure the actress in question is a very lovely, lovely lady and wonderful, and we could probably have lots of beer together and enjoy some good laughs. And we could laugh about how she was wearing her high heels in the jungle and running from T-Rexes and all that shit. But anyway. So really? And then, so I see in the trailers that she's back. And I'm like, no. want to have to watch her again. And I know even the one thing I did give Jurassic World credit for was that they did at some point, I'm sure it's Chris Pratt. I've watched it a couple times, so I should know all this nerd stuff. But he says, "Hey, why you take your shoes off?" Or it was acknowledged in the movie that she's running around in these friggin' high heels. But my point would be that if she's a business professional at a dinosaur park and always checking the cages and stuff, she would never wear heels, ever. She would wear Doc Martens, heavy steel-toed Doc Martens, because you never know when you're going to have to run. You never know. And those Doc Martens, they come like with little flowers. They come with pretty, they even have dinosaur ones, like you don't need to wear friggin' stilettos, crazy lady. And I guess too, I have a thing against high heels because I can't wear them. I haven't worn them in years. I like to be comfortable, like what am I wearing right now? I'm wearing my Kylo Ren Crocs. And you know what? I used to hate Crocs. When I was on the Croc wagon of, oh my God, you're so stupid to wear Crocs. But then I saw some Kylo Ren Crocs. So I had to buy them because I'm a Kylo Ren person, and I buy all the things Kylo Ren. And I'm glad I bought them a couple years ago because there's just no Star Wars merchandise now. There's none. And, I was looking forward to getting more Kylo Ren Crocs when The Last Jedi came out. I was looking forward to some more pencil cases. So they're useful for things. I was looking forward to sneakers in my size because by the time I found some, I saw that Kylo Ren sneakers existed, it was way too late for me to get any because in Canada we didn't even get the adult-sized ones anyways. And then when I went looking, when I was in Rhode Island, driving through Rhode Island, the year of The Force Awakens, they were all gone from the stores already. They had sent them all back, so I tried to get some. So I got my Kylo Ren Crocs. But anyways, so I'm saying, even if she was wearing Crocs running from a T-Rex, well, you have to kick them off. You can't run in Crocs. We know that. There's just no way. But yeah, so she's in the next movie, so we'll see. But the thing, with the Jurassic World, there were so many flaws, as there always are with science fiction stuff, because it's just so much to be entertaining and scientific, and it's hard to do it all. But to me, one of the big things they missed in the Jurassic World that already happened was they had the Indominus Rex, and they said it had been spliced with a tree frog and a bunch of other things. And so I always kept waiting for that thing to jump. Seriously, I was looking forward to Indominus Rex just jumping and being against the glass or clinging from a ceiling or doing a tree frog or even in the trees, they didn't use that idea. And maybe there's a DVD with an outtake of that idea somewhere, because why bother saying it's a tree frog? You could say it's a chameleon, because I think they were doing the thing that it would change color to its background. That's why they said it was a tree frog. But they could have done that with a chameleon, which is probably more of a reptile type thing to a T-Rex than a tree frog. Anyways, that's just my little nerd opinion about little nerd things. But I'm really excited. The trailers look great, but I'm so afraid that they've given away the whole story, because I've been watching too many trailers. And like I said, I try not to watch trailers of movies I really want to see, but I'm so excited to see the dinosaurs again. And so the trailers are showing so much, and there's they're 5-minute trailers, and I'm like, oh my God, I've already seen the whole movie now. And then one thing I like to see, I first discovered it on Facebook, that there's this whole website you can go to, and it's all about Jurassic World and all the animals they're creating, and that there's the volcanoes getting ready to rumble and they're worried, which is interesting to me, how once again life is imitating fantasy, because in real life right now, Hawaii the volcanoes went off a few days ago in Hawaii, and it could go off again. So I find that interesting, that the plot of Jurassic World 2 or whatever it's called is very much straddled with the volcano idea. And I love the idea of, when they show the waves in the trailer, the big waves, and they have that thing underneath the surfers. Oh, I'm so looking forward to that. Anyways, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that Megalodon movie too, even though I know that's going to be really, really stupid. But, giant dinosaur things in the water. I love dinosaurs. Actually, this morning I just had to go through some galleys because I have a short story in an anthology, and my story was about, it's a T-Rex type creature called the Partridge Creek monster, which is a T-Rex type creature, a Cretasaurus or whatever, in the Yukon, and it has like a bill nose. So yeah. So I wrote another dinosaur story. It's more like a sea monster story, and I'm waiting to hear back if that one's being accepted to the anthology I submitted that one to. So I'm on my own little dinosaur kick. Usually I write about, witches and vampires and stuff, but now I just did 2 dinosaur stories because I'm excited for Jurassic World. Okay, so the third thing I'm talking about wasn't supposed to be Jurassic World, but I went on a tangent. Was just some more thoughts about episode 9, Star Wars. Oh, and you probably noticed I'm wearing a Last Jedi t-shirt. And I don't know if you can see the back. But with this shirt, was before The Last Jedi came out, a couple days, like about 3 weeks before The Last Jedi came out, Disney set up an exhibit in Toronto in this little place on Queen Street. It was just one room, and nobody really knew about it, but I somehow found out about it. Somebody told me or whatever. So I went down when I first heard about it, because I was actually working in that area that day, so I was going right by it anyways. So I went in, and it was really cool. But even then, I sort of had little rumblings about, I'm wondering what's going on with The Last Jedi. Something didn't feel quite right about it. I bought not this shirt, but a different shirt, and that says The Last Jedi Toronto exhibit and all that on it. And they had Kylo Ren's lightsaber there. They had some Praetorian guards and a couple of things. And then they were playing trailers on TVs all around. And I was like, no. Going in. And I got to pose with a lightsaber. I got some free baseball cards. And that's about it. And they were selling t-shirts. 2 types of t-shirts, this one and the other one. And what was it? Oh yeah, you could choose between a baseball card or a poster, but I chose the little baseball cards because I was going to work. And even then, I was thinking this morning too about how way back when they first started shooting, like the first day of shooting, I think even before they started shooting, I remember hearing about how they had moved Kylo Ren's scar, how Rian Johnson was moving Kylo Ren's scar because he thought it looked dumb how it was, and he was changing it. And back then I had a little, because to me, he got right in the face, right in half, and it was very symbolic, as all the J.J. Abrams clues and lens flares and things were when it came to Kylo and everyone else. But Kylo, very distinctly in The Force Awakens, was always filmed like with the light, with the dark, with the red, with the black, and there was always showing his conflict with the lighting and the photography, right? So to me, I figured Kylo would have a huge face scar in the next one, unless, since they're in a galaxy far, far away, maybe they have plastic surgery, so maybe he wouldn't have any scar at all. Or maybe he was going to get even more hideous by the end of the movie, like Darth Vader, getting all his limbs cut off and caught on fire or whatever. But, so when I heard they moved his scar, I was like, why? Because the scar showed his duality. It was a very symbolic cut, even though it's so obvious or whatever, but it was there. It was there. We saw it happen. We saw Rey do it, and yeah, so that was kind of, I guess, a first clue about things weren't going to go the way we think they are. So then to go back to this Last Jedi exhibit in Toronto, the day, let's see, December 14th was the Last Jedi fan day experience. It was a Thursday, and I'd bought very expensive tickets to be part of, the people that got to see the movie before it officially opened the next day, right? However, on the Wednesday before the Thursday, on the Wednesday, that there was all this stuff on Facebook on the Last Jedi exhibit Facebook and all that, saying, "Oh, come down. We're having a press screening tonight, and if you come down, we're giving away tickets at the exhibit, and also the first like 12 people in line at the theater will get tickets, and blah 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 for tonight's showing." And I didn't really care about going to the show that night because I had tickets for the next night that I'd paid big bucks for, so I didn't really care about getting tickets. But I did want to get the shirt. And because I had only enough money to get the one shirt the one day, I wasn't able to get back there, because it's not near. It's an hour each way to get there by transit. So I went down special that Wednesday, and it was seriously it was one of those minus 25 days in Toronto. It was so cold. I was dying. And I went down to the exhibit, and it had a closed sign on it. It was closed. And I went back a couple times, and eventually it opened, even though it was supposed to be open all day, like from 10 to 10 or whatever. And then so I asked the guy's table, because they had a table set up out front. And so I was all excited to go see the exhibit again, because this time I wasn't so starstruck and rushing off to a job and all that. And they said I couldn't go in because I wasn't on the special guest list. And I said, well, they said to come down and get tickets, and tickets for tonight's show. And I said, I don't even care about tickets. I just wanted to buy another t-shirt and see the exhibit again. They said, nope. They didn't let me in, wouldn't let me buy it. So that really pissed me off. That pissed me off so bad. And, and I felt bad for people who probably went down to try and get the tickets they were supposed to be giving out. And I guess, and then I hung around because I thought, oh, maybe they had a private party, maybe Mark Hamill and Adam Driver in town. You don't know, because Toronto has big film festivals. We have big stars here all the time. I do background work on TV shows and stuff. So I was like, so I hung around for like 4 hours. I just kept walking up and down the street, seeing, are they going to be on the news? And, and I went over to the theater, because theater wasn't far. I kept going back and forth between the exhibit and the theater to see if there were any stars. And then it was getting close to theater time, and I probably could have lined up for the free tickets there, because it didn't look like many people in line. I don't think many people knew about it. For the free, the first few people are free if you're in a costume, right? And but like I said, I didn't want to go that day, so let's go the next day with my son. We had the fancy ass tickets where you get free popcorn and a special baseball card things again, the bigger ones. And so I never got to go back to the exhibit because it was closing like a couple days later, and I couldn't get back downtown. And so my son went and bought, he worked like a block away from there. He teaches dance, and so his dance studio was a couple blocks from the exhibits, so he went back there and bought me this shirt for Christmas. So I was happy to have the shirt for Christmas. Anyway, so my thoughts I wanted to get to about episode 9 was how Mark Hamill's been teasing us so badly on Twitter about episode 9, and see you around, kid, and he's posting things. So I'm thinking he's definitely coming back. I never thought he wasn't. I always thought he'd be in episode 9. I never ever thought he wasn't till people started saying, oh, he's so angry. But I think he's definitely back. They know they can't do it without him. But my big hope is that he's back as a living, breathing Luke Skywalker, because I'm hoping there's going to be a correction, because the fans have been grieving so hard. We've been so upset at the thought of Luke being dead, not because he died, but because we waited 40 years to see him do some cool shit, and he hasn't done it yet, right? Like when I was a teenager, I used to wish there was a Star Wars TV show every week. They had Planet of the Apes, and Logan's Run, and a bunch of other science fiction shows at the time got weekly TV shows, right? But they never did Star Wars, and it really upset me all the time that why isn't Mark Hamill on the Star Wars show every week, So we never got that, right? We never got any of that. And sure, now, there's all these cartoons and stuff happening, but they're still not the live people. And Mark Hamill is still alive. He's still with us. There's no reason we can't have another movie or two of Skywalker adventures. Like episode 9 doesn't even have to follow where we left off. Or I guess maybe that one does, but maybe they could make a Skywalker movie with Luke, and then maybe explore how he and Kylo Ren, like go back in time a bit, and stuff with like why did Leia send him away, and maybe see some little backstories or side stories, or maybe something Luke did in those 40 years, anything. There's so many things he probably got up to. We could see stories about anything. There's no reason they can't do some, if Luke really is dead, that there can't be movies where they go back, and just to appease us fans. Like, if Disney, we don't want a goddamn Solo movie, we don't want a goddamn Obi-Wan movie, we don't want any of that. We want Luke Skywalker, and I'm sorry, we do. I mean, I know some people like a Han Solo, but I think the people that wanted a Han Solo movie wanted Harrison Ford, and again, that should have been back in the 70s and 80s when they were young and still could play those parts. And so they missed that boat big time, and I'm not sure exactly why or how. I guess money and times are different then. Everything was so different then. Anyways, so I'm very excited that Mark Hamill seems to be coming back to episode 9, and I really, really hope he comes back alive. I seriously hope. And then, of course, there's still more rumors going around about if they're casting Leia or not. I still say they are. Like, to me, when they did that casting for Mara about 3 weeks ago, Mara Jade, who is theoretically Luke's wife, and some of the spin-off stuff that I never read or saw, but other people have told me about. I think that's casting for Leia, because, I'm sorry, opening the scroll with, oh, Princess Leia, blah, 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 that's gonna, we're all gonna be like, really, you took the lazy way out again? Like, really, Disney got millions of dollars and, you can't make a story? Like, come on, you're the storytelling people. Like, I used to love Disney stories. And so with Leia, I'm sorry, like, Carrie Fisher's dead, and I love Carrie Fisher, like we know I do. And, but Leia is a character in a movie, in a story, and to do right by the story, she will have to be in at least 1 or 2 scenes before she dies, if they even kill her at all. Maybe she just goes off onto some intergalactic mission and never to be seen again, or whatever. But, so I have no issues with them recasting Princess Leia. I don't really want it to be Meryl Streep, because I'm not a huge fan of hers, but, who's to say? Who's to say? Maybe they'll take that woman from Jurassic World, I don't know. That poor lady. I'll probably meet her one day, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, it's not you, it's just your character's such an idiot. And how did they start those Jeeps in Jurassic World? Like, how did those Jeeps start? I know my friggin' car would start after like a week, How did those battery, I know they took the second or third time I saw Jurassic World, I realized they took the battery from the hamster ball and put it in the Jeep. But still, like, wouldn't the tires be flat when they, like, oh my God, like, it was so silly. Oh, it was so fun. It's so fun. But yeah, so if they have Princess Leia, I'm all over the place today. But if they have Princess Leia in at least a bit of the movie, just for setup and see, because I hear rumors of a 5-year time jump or whatever. There should be some kind of time jump, because God knows when they had the next day or the next minute, it didn't even add up. Because we left off The Force Awakens with, the passing. Oh, I'll use my passing of the lightsaber, and then, but meanwhile, like, it's supposedly the next minute where he picks it up, but in the meantime, the scroll says the First Order has, done its thing, and it's like, how? It's like still the same minute. Like, how is it reign supreme? Starkiller Base is still blowing up. Like, how did they get Kylo's helmet off Starkiller Base? How did Captain Phasma get out of the trash compactor on Starkiller Base, like, while it was blowing up? So it just blew up during the sword fight, and like the Millennium Falcon came and took Rey, but Hux had to go get Kylo. How did he find him in the snow? What did they have, like, video monitors to find out where he was having his laser sword fight? And how did they get him off the planet before they blew up? And then to go back to Kylo's scar, I hate his friggin' scar. I hate it so much. It's like this thing, it looks like a piece of duct tape on his face. It does. Like, You have millions of dollars for special effects, and you can't, and you have this like football tire tread thing happening on the face when she went and like cut it right in half. And yes, I know he stopped the machine while it was sewing him up in his temper tantrum, but it still wouldn't look like that. It just was such stupid makeup. It was so ridiculous. But yeah, so if they're in the middle of doing the passing of the torch, and yet all of a sudden all this time passed with everyone else, enough so that Poe is, doing crank calls to Hux. And why did Hux suddenly become a stupid doofus when he was like pretty scary and looked like he was handling like the Nazi regime there with all the stormtroopers and giving his big scary fight? I was scared of him in The Force Awakens, and now he's just like a poof joke, offhand friggin' comedy relief dude. And it's like, what? He was so scary. Yeah, well, anyways, we all know how that went. I'm just retreading old water. So yeah, the timeline was screwed up. So hopefully they'll keep track of their timelines in the chapter 9. Hopefully. Or maybe they won't. Maybe they'll be like, okay, we're just going to fast forward. Okay, we're going to go to the Battle of the Sand. And, except Luke's really going to be there. No, Luke's not going to even show up. It's just, I don't know. Go back to before the Battle of the Sand. Luke shows up for sure, goes into his nephew's spaceship and punches him like Kylo did to Hux, and say, hey, smarten the hell up, stop tormenting the galaxy. Like, come on, And also too, they kind of got to fix something. They got to somehow fix that story, because I'm unsettled with the idea of Luke trying to kill Kylo. And I know everyone's harping on that like crazy, but I'm harping on it from the point of view that when we first meet Kylo Ren in Force Awakens, he was kind of scary because he's unpredictable, he's screwed up, he doesn't know what's happening, he wants to be like Darth Vader, he wants to be the evil side of Darth Vader. And he's the ultimate fanboy of wants to be big bad guy, and he's being trained by Snoke to be a big bad guy. And so then it sort of got all unraveled, because then when we find out Luke tries to kill him, then he just becomes a victim of child abuse, right? Because already his mother sent him off, but we don't know if she sent him off angrily or happily, We don't know if Han and Leia were together, when they got divorced. There's so much we don't know of how Kylo changed. But if Kylo wasn't fully bad yet, because if he was sleeping nicely in the night and actually at his uncle's Jedi Academy, he was there, right? So he was training or something. And then of course he snapped when his uncle tried to kill him while he slept. And then, they say he and a bunch of young students burned the place down and took off, depending on which version you're listening to now, because so, you assume the students he took with him were the Knights of Ren, and we'll meet them in chapter 9, I'm sure. I heard there's casting for them, so we'll meet them and get to know what that's all about. But in the meantime, like I said, now it's like I'm way more sympathetic to Kylo than I was, because now I'm like, yeah, he's been abandoned and abused by everyone. And yes, I know that's how Penguin came to be, and Joker, and all all these villains always have these horrible stories that you sympathize with them, instead of like wanting them, you kind of want them to win because so they can do something right, Anyways, to me that dramatically changed the story just far too much for me, with Luke losing his mind. Not even thinking about the fact that Luke losing his mind is also just a stupid story plot, but that making Kylo evil is not. So where did the Vader worship come in? Was he worshiping Vader before or after that? There's just too much. We don't really know, and hopefully we'll get answered, or maybe we won't, because the past doesn't matter. Past totally matters. We learn on our past, and I think the only reason why they said the past doesn't matter is so that all us old fans who are expecting some things and we didn't get them, so that, you know, we don't matter either. It's only the new young kids that matter now. But hey man, we're the ones that kept this franchise in business, you know, with our $30 shirts and $100 Crocs, you know, toys. Yeah man, so let's give the fans a nice Star Wars movie, please. You know, we've been waiting 40 years. Force Awakens, you didn't have to go that way, but it was you know, like I said, I approved of it as a reboot. I wasn't sure what I thought of it the first time I saw it, and I've grown to like it, and I've grown to love it. Last Jedi has some excellent moments, has some really not so excellent moments. So let's try and get this right. You know, Disney, you got millions of dollars, you got the world's best screenwriters at your fingertips, you got the world's best directors at your fingertips. You can pick up a phone and call anyone. You can call any fan. Watch some of these YouTube channels and everybody like rewriting the story for you. Like, there's so many. You don't have to have a shitty story. Just ask the fans what they want. We'll tell you. We just want some saber battles with Luke, even though he's older now. He's like my age. Like in the story, he's my age, in his 50s. And I tell you, my dad, who's like 87, still swims like 5 miles a day. And, you know, he was jogging right up until his 80s every day. He's fit and limber and all that. So, you know, I see it with my own eyes and my own family, that just because you're in your 50s doesn't mean like you're an old crusty person who does one force projection and drops dead. It's not. I could force project and I'm not going to drop dead. So yeah, bring back Luke. Bring back Luke. All right, I've talked enough. I've talked way longer than I meant to. And we'll talk to you later. Bye for now.